Okay, go. الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن سار سبيله إلى يوم الدين أما بعد. So inshallah ta'ala we'll be continuing discussing the book Al-Malakis Al-Fiqhi by Shaykh Salih Fawzan Hafidullah ta'ala, and we're still discussing matters pertaining to Ahkam At-Talaq. So matters that relates to Talaq, that they fall into different matters. So the author Hafidullah that is covering these matters. So in the last lesson that we had discussed concerning Ahkam At-Talaq and the different rulings. Now we'll be discussing another matter regarding Ahkam At-Talaq that is titled Babun fi At-Talaq As-Sunni wa Talaq Al-Bid'i. So regarding concerning what is deemed to be At-Talaq As-Sunni, and also what is deemed to be Talaq Al-Bid'i, and also what the ruling that comes with both. Aywa.
Bismillah wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulillahi. Qala al-Mu'allif hafidhahullah, chapter 3, page 433. Chapter Sunni and Innovative Divorce. Sunni divorce. The divorce according to the Sunnah is the divorce that takes place according to the way ordained by Allah and His Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam. It is effected by the husband's single pronouncement of divorce in an interval between the wife's menstruations in which he has not had sexual intercourse with her, and then he leaves her until her waiting period is over. This divorce accords with the Sunnah in terms of number, as he pronounces a single divorce on his wife and leaves her until her waiting period is over. It also accords with the Sunnah in terms of timing, as he divorces her during her state of major ritual purity, i.e. the period between her menstruations in which he has not had sexual intercourse with her. Allah exalted He says, O Prophet, when you Muslims divorce women, divorce them for the commencement of their waiting period. Surah At-Talaq, Ayat 1.
Aynam. So the author, Hafidullah, he started up by mentioning regarding concerning first, what is At-Talaq As-Sunni. So you'll find concerning this terminology that is used, At-Talaq As-Sunni, and also At-Talaq Al-Bid'i, that these are, we said, the phrases or terminology that have been established by the ulama. So there's the Prophet ﷺ didn't per se categorize talaq as being, there's one that is said to be a talaq al-bid'i. No, the Prophet ﷺ that mentioned that there's a form of talaq that is called al-sunni. So you find you find one hadith of Mu'adh bin Jabal radhiyallahu anhu, where he mentioned that that is narrated by Mu'adh. We mentioned that Sami'tu Rasulullah ﷺ yaqul ya Mu'adh. So the Prophet ﷺ addressing Mu'adh by saying, O Mu'adh, man talaq lil-bid'ah wahid أو اثنين أو ثلاثة ألزمناه ببدعته. So the Prophet ﷺ mentioned regarding that, Ya Mu'adh, man talaq, the one who divorced his wife by way of a way which is referred to as bid'ah, whether by once or twice or three talaq being pronounced, that is compelled by this way that he has invented. So he was the word al-bid'ah, but the hadith is daif. So this hadith is narrated by Daraqutni, and he mentioned the hadith is batil. So it's a very weak hadith. So it kind of somewhat mentions regarding talaq being said to be bid'i. But we said that the hadith is what? Is weak, batil. So the word or coin using this terminology, al-sunni, bid'i as-sunni, as talaq as-sunni, what talaq al-bid'i, is something that is from the vocabulary of the ulama. It's from the vocabulary of the ulama, not per se the vocabulary of the Prophet ﷺ. Then the author, Hafidullah, he went on to explain first what is said to be at-talaq as-sunni, at-talaq alladhi waqa ala wajh al-mashru', where is the talaq that goes in line, it fulfills the criteria of the Sharia regarding how to perform or how to go about doing a talaq. Then he mentioned that, so with this, he mentioned the guideline. So for a talaq to be said to be Sunni, it must fulfill certain criteria. It must fulfill certain criteria. So are certain sifat. So they mentioned that these sifat, that they could be said to be 4 sifat. So there's 4 things that should be in place. If it is done, then the talaq is said to be a Sunni. So meaning concern the husband who wish to divorce his wife, for everything to be said to be in line and he follow proper procedure in carrying out the divorce, then he should make sure that these things are in place. And as we mentioned before, that regarding concerning at-talaq, the onus is upon the husband. The onus is more so upon the husband regarding that he does things as outlined in the Sharia. So those 4 criteria, I might add a 5th. So they mentioned that there's 4 criteria. The Shaykh mentioned that 1, that the husband issue the talaq by saying talaq once, talaq tiki, or talaq. So saying talaq once, not saying it twice in one go or 3 times in one go. So him just saying talaq once to the wife. So pronouncing the word talaq to his wife once, and that's sufficient. That is a sunnah. Then the second thing that he mentions, so if the person does it 2 times or 3 times, then it falls into a different category and a different ruling to be discussed. So the sunnah is to say divorce only once. If the person wants to say it in one sitting or one sentence, talaq, 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 or talaq, talaq twice or thrice, then that falls into a different sitting, a different ruling to be discussed next. So him just saying it once, that's what is required. The second condition, that she should be in a state of tahara. So the wife, or tuhur, where should the wife also in a state of purity. Meaning purity, she's not on her menstrual cycle. So she should not be on her menstrual cycle. So not in her menstrual cycle, nor nifas, nor or post bleeding, that after child bleeding. She should not be in that state. So that's the second thing. So she's in a state of tuhur, where she's not going through her menstrual cycle or post bleeding, childbirth bleeding. The third of those criteria. So also, again, if she's in her cycle, then that also a different ruling applies to be discussed. So that's a different ruling that will fall into the second category of al-bid'i, and it carries its own ruling to be discussed. So we'll try to cover all these things hopefully today in this setting. We find that a lot of things regarding divorce, it revolves around these matters, whether divorce is valid or not valid. A lot of the contention and confusion and the questions that are asked revolve around these matters. So we're going to try to take things in a somewhat symptomatic way, and try to do things in a slow way. So it might take, we see how much time it might take. So the third criteria or sifa that is to be in place is that the wife also, that since they mentioned that tuhrin lam yujami'aha, that she's in air, she has finished her cycle, and since she have ended her cycle or last cycle, and she have washed, and she has stayed that she's have washed, she have finished her cycle, they have not have any intimacy. So the wife and the husband, since her last cycle and the time that he wished to divorce her, between since then up until this time, that they have not have any intimacy. They have not any sexual intimacy. So that's the third condition. So if you have had intimacy with her, then fall into a different category. So the third condition is no intimacy since she have had her last cycle up until the time that he choose to divorce her. The third or the fourth criteria, or the fourth sifa that should be in place, that he doesn't also, that after issuing a divorce, he wait until she ends her iddah. So she finished her, either go to her third menstrual cycle. So you have from the time it have been issued the divorce, and she goes into her iddah, either he waits until she completes her iddah, depending on her circumstance and situation. So if she's having normal cycle, is 3 cycle, and an additional we discuss, until it comes to an end, everything comes to an end, or iddah comes to an end incomplete when she have taken her bath. So when she have taken her ghusl, then he cannot take her back. Or so she completes her iddah in her 3 cycle or 3 months. Not divorce her many times during that iddah. So he divorced her, then a month later he divorced her, not in that manner. Not in that manner. So those are the criteria the ulama have put in place for it to be deemed as Sunni. So it to be deemed as Sunni. Of the other thing that can be added as a fifth is regarding al-ishhad, shuhud. I was asked before. So is it also a criteria in offering the divorce that there should be witnesses? We'll discuss that inshallah ta'ala. That will also be discussed. So those are things that so in summary that is said to the proper procedure regarding divorce are as follows. One, that one divorce is issue. I divorce you once. They discuss between the ulama, does it have to be said in Arabic or has to be said, can it be said in other than Arabic? That to be discussed regarding, so said overall that Arabic, yes, is acceptable, but also the person say it in their own language, other than Arabic, also it counts as talaq. If the person would say in English, I divorce you, then that becomes a talaq. I will discuss that regarding, so that also is discussed between the ulama. So the first thing, he says, issue one, divorce, I divorce you. Not to say it twice, not to say it 3 times, not to say it 6 times. So I divorce you once. Second, she's not on a menstrual cycle. Whether the start, or the beginning or in between, not to divorce, not to issue the divorce while she's in her cycle up until she have taken her bath. The third, that also from her last cycle up until the time that he has offered the divorce, they have not have any intimacy, no sexual relations. The fourth is that he should allow her to complete her iddah. And the normal thing is with the iddah, during the iddah, if it's a raj'i, then she should be in the house. They should be still together. Not from the time that he give the divorce, then he tell her to leave, or she decide to leave and go to her parents' house. And that will be the regarding talaq al-raj'i. But overall, she completes her iddah, or he takes her back within due times. And then the fifth that could be added is al-ishhad, shuhud. Is it required in pronouncing talaq that it has to be done in the presence of witness? So if there's no witness, is it valid or not valid? That also to be discussed. So those are the things that this is considered to be a talaq as Sunni. Talaq as Sunni, where the person he fulfill all the criteria. Aywa.
Commenting on the aforementioned Quranic verse, Ibn Mas'ud, may Allah be pleased with him, said, the verse means that women can be divorced only during their state of purity when no sexual intercourse has taken place. Moreover, Ali ibn Abu Talib radiallahu anhu said, if people adhere to the ordinance of Allah concerning divorce, the man will never regret divorcing a woman. He pronounces a single divorce at a time on his wife and then leaves her for 3 periods of menstruation during which he can take her back if he likes. This means that as long as the woman is still in her waiting period, her husband can take her back, as Allah grants the man who has pronounced a single divorce on his wife a chance to take her back during her waiting period if he regrets divorcing her, provided it is not his 3rd pronouncement of divorce on her. However, if it is the 3rd divorce, the husband cannot take his ex-wife back.
So that's concerning. So you mentioned regarding the aqwal of the ulama from the Salaf, from the Sahaba anhum, regarding concerning that, certain caution, where they kind of somewhat explained from Ibn Mas'ud regarding what is intended by the ayah regarding concerning the method in going about. What they mentioned, فَطَلِّقُهُنَّ لِعِدَّتِهِنَّ. So لِعِدَّتِهِنَّ, they mention al-lam here lil-waqt, in the time of their iddah. So carrying out the talaq in the proper way as mentioned by Ibn Mas'ud, and also Ali radiallahu anhu kind of somewhat give certain type of advice or certain things to take into account regarding that. You find a lot of confusion regarding matters regarding a divorce is by not doing things correctly. When when things are not done correctly, then you have a lot of questions and confusion regarding, is my divorce valid, is not valid? And is knowing how to go about doing it correctly and also doing it in the correct way. Nam?
Innovative divorce. Innovative divorce refers to the divorce that takes place in a prohibited way, such as the following cases. Divorcing one's wife by pronouncing the spoken form of divorce thrice simultaneously. Innovative divorce in terms of number. Divorcing one's wife while she is in a state of menstruation or confinement. Innovative divorce in terms of timing. Divorcing one's wife while she is in a state of purity in which he has had sexual intercourse with her. Innovative divorce in terms of timing. Innovative divorce concerning the number of the pronouncements of divorce makes one's ex-wife prohibited for one to take back until she marries another man and then separates from him. Allah exalted be He says, and if he has divorced her for the third time, then she is not lawful to him afterwards until after she marries a husband other than him. Surah Baqarah, ayat 230. As for the innovative divorce concerning the timing of divorce, when such a divorce takes place, it is desirable for the husband to take his wife back. This is because when Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu anhu divorced his wife during her menses, the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam ordered him to take her back, as related by the group of compilers of hadith. Thus, if the husband in such a case takes his wife back, he must keep her until she becomes in a state of major ritual purity, and then he can divorce her if he pleases. It is prohibited for the husband.
Aywa. Naam. So the next of those things that the author Hafidullah that I've discussed regarding concern that he mentioned, the second type of category of divorce, which you refer to as the talaq al-bid'i. So the second type of category of divorce, after you have explained what is talaq as-sunni, meaning things are done correctly, and he mentioned how to go about doing correctly. Then the next thing that is discussed is matter that relates to talaq al-bid'i. So what constitutes talaq al-bid'i? So the mention concerning talaq, where things are not done according to the guidelines laid down by the Sharia. So guidelines, it is not in accordance to the guidelines laid down by the Sharia. So meaning any of those four sifat that have been mentioned previously, they were not followed, then fall into al-bid'i. So the person forfeit any of the correct procedures, then it falls into al-bid'i. So regarding concerning that this talaq al-bid'i mentions a statement of the ulama, or a terminology used by the ulama. So the Shaykh mentioned regarding concerning those cases that will fall as talaq al-bid'i, that one, as we mentioned, that we said the first of those ways in carrying out at-talaq correctly. We said the first one was what? That he says it what? How many times he pronounced the divorce? Once. So he mentioned the first, he mentions now, and يطلقها ثلاثة بلفظ, that in the person not going against this, but if he, the husband, was divorced his wife by repeating the word talaq 3 times, or even mentioned twice, right? So we're going to cover that as a separate issue. Then he mentioned another way of falling to talaq, and يطلقها وهي حائض, or nifas, or a second issue, a husband divorcing his wife while she's in her menstrual cycle. So the husband divorcing his wife while she's in her menstrual cycle, and also with this, if she's ended her cycle, but they have had intimacy before, they have had intimacy after they have had intimacy, then he divorced her. So that's so those are the cases to be looked at. So we'll try to discuss each of those separately. Now, to give more clarity, the author, Hafidullah, he mentioned them in general, but we said because of these things occur and questioned, a lot of confusion sometimes occurs in these cases as what is valid and what is not valid. We'll try to discuss each separately.
In terms of the first one, it being lafz, whether it's kitaba or risalatan.
All to be discussed. So we kind of somewhat try to, regarding concerning discuss, looking at the matter, we said the author, Hafidullah, he discussed things somewhat general. So we try to kind of break things down due to, we said it now, that these things sometimes a lot of confusion and the likes. So we'll try to see what we can cover today regarding these matters. Some of the things we'll cover, others next week, hopefully, inshallah ta'ala. So you mentioned regarding concerns, so we'll find that we're going to use concerning a few books, kind of somewhat to add notes, now to give more clarity. That one, Khatlan, was Sheikh Saad Al-Khatlan in his explanation and how we explain things, and also Abdullah Fawzan. So this is Abdullah Fawzan, not the author of Mulakhaz al-Fikr. There's another Fawzan called Abdullah Fawzan. Nam, is of those, Abdullah Fawzan, Hafidullah, of those is in Lugha, is strong. In Hadith, is good. In Fiqh, is good. Nam, so his work, that if you were to see his work and to buy them, that's not a problem. Nam, the person has to be in doubt as to the benefit of his work. His works are in general beneficial. His works are in general very beneficial. So we can somewhat try to combine between those two. There's others and also maybe others regarding discussing this matter. So he mentioned regarding concerning the first of those matters that is discussed regarding this type of talaq, that according to Sheikh Khatlan and also Sheikh Abdullah Fawzan, that I mentioned in this matter, they mention regarding concerning at talaq, so by way of love, by the person issuing talaq more than once. So the person, they said in Majlis al-Wahid, so the person, the husband that is mentioning, uttering more than one talaq. So in this case, 3. Now he's saying talaq, 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 or anti-taliq, anti-taliq, anti-taliq. So you have between the ulama, they have a discussion regarding saying talaq 3 times in one setting or in one sentence, right? That either he says anti-taliq thalathan, right? You are divorced 3 times. So that's one way of stating 3 talaq in one sentence. Or he can say anti-taliq, anti-taliq, anti-taliq. You are divorced, you are divorced, or you are divorced. Clear? Understood? So either said anti-taliq, you are divorced, but he said 3 times, meaning this one sentence repeated 3 times. But he only said it once. Anti-taliq thalatha. You are divorced 3 times. Or he can say, you are divorced, I divorced my wife, I divorced, and he said it 3 times. Each divorce, he said it separately. Anti-taliq, anti-taliq, anti-taliq. Clear, ikhwan? So the ulama discuss, are those 2 separate masala or they're one and the same? Clear? So you have a discussion. Some who hold that whether he said it anti-taliq, thalatha, or anti-taliq, 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 that they're one and the same. But those who make a distinction between both sentences. Nam, so Sheikh Khatlan, he make a distinction between both. Sheikh Abdullah Fawzan and Ibn Taymiyyah does not make a distinction. They see them both as the same thing, the same meaning. Nam, so they can someone can put it both those 2 sentences or 2 approaches in one ruling. Hopefully that is clear. So we can somewhat use concerning that Khatlan, that his approach, as I mentioned, he mentioned regarding concerning of the husband to say anti-taliq bi thalatha. You are divorced 3 times. So he said in that case, if the husband said you are divorced 3 times, but he only said it once. Nam, then they mentioned there's a khilaf between ulama regarding concerning that on this, if the husband wants to say this to his wife, that there's 2 aqwal. He mentioned there's 2 qawlain, there's 2 view on this matter. Regarding that, what does it constitute? Does it constitute a divorce 3 times or once? So saying anti-taliq thalathan, is this counts as 3 separate divorces, or it counts as 1 divorce? So they mentioned regarding concerning matters, they mentioned, so he state that ذهب جمهور الفقهاء, that majority of the fuqaha من الحنفية ومالكية والشافعية والحنابلة إلى أن الطلاق يقع ثلاثا. So what he says, that Jumhur of the Fuqaha, amongst them the Hanafi, the Maliki, the Shafi'i, and the Hanabila, meaning Madhab al-Arba, that they deem this sentence, what I want to say, anti-taliq, thalatha, as meaning, they said to them, yaqa talaq, yaqa thalatha. They see it as 3 separate divorces. You are divorced 3 times. Clear? So husband to say to his wife, anti-taliq thalathan. They see that as you have given her your 3 talaq. With me? So that's how they see, that's the Jumhur. And you find that Ibn Qudama rahimahullah, they mention that Ibn Qudama rahimahullah, أن طلق ثلاثة بكلمة واحد وقع ثلاثة. That Ibn Qudama rahimahullah mentioned that if the husband was to issue these 3 talaq, as we just mentioned that in one word, then waqa thalathan. It's considered to be 3 separate talaq. Now, they mentioned that, according to Sheikh Khathlani mentioned, Uruya Thalik and Ibn Abbas, among the Sahaba, will take the position that it is 3, and it accounts, so those 3 counts, those that 1 counts as 3. So instead 1, he said, I divorce you 3 times, it actually counts as 3 blocks, separate talaq. Of those who take this position, according to Sheikh Khatlan, Ibn Abbas, Abu Huraira, Ibn Umar, Abdullah ibn Amr, Ibn Mas'ud, Anas, and also mention قول many of the وأكثر أهل من التابعين وإما بعدهم, and many of the ulama, many of the tabi'in is of that view, and those who came after them. So in general, that's called of Jumhur of the ulama. Jumhur al-ulama. Then they mention regarding concerning that, and they mention the dalil in talaqaha fala tahil lahu, that if you divorce her 3 times, she's not allowed for you, not allowed for you. So they see it as that's 3 divorce, so she's not allowed to you. That's how they understand it. Shava idda would be so shava idda, but in general, we'll discuss it in later regarding the idda. So the matter regarding the idda period for different talaq will be discussed separately, right? So now we're just discussing if the husband was to say anti-taliq bi-thalatha, that's counted as 3 separate talaq I've been given in that one sentence. And according to Jumhur of the ulama, your wife and you are to be separated and cannot go back until she has remarried and she divorced or the husband died before you can remarry her. And therefore, it's no baynuna al-kubra. It's the major separation. The reason why I mention this so for us to understand the gravity of this matter and how it is deemed by the ulama. We find it said in today's time that a lot of people are very complacent on this matter.
So Jumhur ulama take that as 3 talaq.
3 talaq. That's so. Like for example, before like over the weekend, someone they're out of the country, but they asked someone to ask me a question regarding that to be discussed. But the husband divorced that person while she was in her menstrual cycle. So they asked, is it valid or not valid? And we'll discuss that separate. I might mention a story, what now, and how the person is. I will mention that at that point. But overall, the show that with this matter, these matter that ulama, that the views of the ulama. So that's the qawl al-awwal with the jumhur of the ulama. Then he mentioned al-qawl al-thani أن الطلاق الثلاثة بكلمة واحد يقع طلقة واحد. That the second opinion is the view that if the person was to say this 3 in one sentence, or just saying anti-taliq bi-thalatha, that I mentioned that is considered to be 1 talaq. So it is classed as with them 3 equal 1. So in that case, it will be considered to be 3. It is considered to be 1, not 3, contrary to the view of Jumhur of the ulama. So the second view, all that has, even though it is count, even though 3 is understood, but 1 counts. It is considered as what it equates as one divorce. So those so-called 3, they equate as 1. Now, then I mentioned that of those who take this position, they mentioned of those who of this view, riwayah and Ahmed. So it showed that Ahmed of another riwayah that it counts with jumhur of the ulama. So Ahmed rahimahullah, he has 2 positions. One view agrees with jumhur of the ulama from A'immatul Arba, that and another view is away from A'immatul Arba, another riwayah that he holds it as, it counts as, those 3 count as 1. Ahmed have 2 positions. One position, he agrees with jumhur, that those 3 count as 3. And his second opinion, that 3 as out is uttered, it actually counts as 1, equates 1. That's his second view. And also of those who take the position, Ibn Taymiyyah wa Ibn Qayyim rahimahullah, jami'an. So they see it as talaq. That talaq is considered to be talaq al-raj'i, where you can take back your wife if you haven't done 2 already.
So basically, it's, Allah basically saying that whatever way the person is intending to say it, that's what it means. So if he intended to say talaq once, 3 times, or he says it 3 times, then who's judging like how it's meant?
Now, in this case regarding talaq, we discussed and said at talaq as-sariyah, when a person utters the word talaq, it doesn't matter what his intention is. What you judge is the word that had been uttered. So we said that in this case, so both view agree that talaq has occurred. Now that talaq has occurred. Where they differ on is regarding if it says anti talik thalatha, is that I divorce you 3 times? Is that actually count as 3 or 1? Is this sentence to be that thalatha? Because he didn't say 3, no, anti talik. So he said anti talik bi thalatha. So is this wording considered to be 3 separate talaqs?
You'd think it would be the other way around. But
Yeah, or it's counted as 1. So said jumhur, majority of the ulama, is of the view that it counts as 3 individual separate divorces. That's jumhur. Another view of the ulama who take the position that it counts, those 3 equates 1. But it still counts as a divorce. But with jumhur, it counts as you have to separate immediately.
what's there today? I want to hear below that, the second one.
Hey, we're coming. So I said of contemporary dimension, he mentioned Sheikh Haslan, that Sheikh bin Baz rahimahullah is of this opinion, also of the opinion of Ibn Taymiyyah wa Ibn Qayyim. So they mentioned that, so as for the second view, their adilya for what they have, their conclusion, the hadith of Ibn Abbas anhuma, that قال كان الطلاق. So they mentioned that Ibn Abbas said كان الطلاق على عهد رسول Islam, that talaq during the period of the Prophet of Islam, the days of the Prophet of Islam, during the time of the Prophet of Islam, wa Abu Bakr, and Abu Bakr, during the reign of Abu Bakr, wa sanatain, and 2 years, fi khilafat Umar, and 2 years in the reign of Umar ibn Khattab, at talaq at thalatha wahid, that 3 is counted as 1. Meaning, so they see if 3 is said, then it is equate as 1. That was the practice in the time of the Prophet of Islam, the years of Abu Bakr Siddiq, junior leader, and also after the second year of Umar, it was a practice for 2 years in the time of Umar reign. That 3, if it is said, then it counts as what? 1. Then he mentioned, فَقَالَ Umar ibn Khattab, then Umar ibn Khattab, then he says, إِنَّ النَّاسَ, that indeed the people, فَقَالْ إِسْتَعْجَلُوا, they have become very hasty. Fi amr, meaning amr regarding talaq. They become very loose in giving talaq. فَقَدْ كَانَتْ لَهُمْ فِيهِ أَنَاتٍ, when before they were very careful about divorce, or cautious about divorce. وَلَوْ أَمْدَيْنَاهُ عَلَيْهِمْ أَمْدَيْنَاهُ عَلَيْهِمْ. Then I mentioned that, then if I was to carry this through, I'll carry to the mention that for Umar, what he did, he made 3. So he placed as a rule 3 as being 3. So he mentions now that now I'll put in place those 3, even though previously they were counted as 1. I'm going to put now as being the Khalifa. I'm going to put as a rule, as a law, that those 3 are counted as 3 separate ones. And he gave the reason, because the people became what? Hasty. Or they become very negligent regarding that, and haste in giving divorce. So they mentioned that, so that's the evidence. So they said no. So those who say it is count as 3 as 1, they said that initially the original ruling of the Prophet Islam was 3 equal 1. And Abu Bakr the same thing. Omar did so for a while, then he changed based upon the people, the hal of the people, the condition of the people, where they became loose, so he made things more strict on them. 3 is 3. So they said the ones who say this, use this hadith, they said the Prophet Islam, what he instituted, what the Prophet Islam had in place was 3 equal 1 and Abu Bakr, so we go back to the original ruling. And they kind of respond to Omar. Yes, Omar was the Khalifa. Then those who say 3 becomes 3, they use this hadith also. The first opinion, they use this hadith. They said Omar constituted or put in place 3 equal 3, and the other many Sahaba were present, and no one challenged it. You understand? So they said that the Sahaba were present, and the Sahaba, no one challenged this matter. So so they said that the Sahaba can somewhat agree to that position or ruling instituted by Umar. So that's the first view, Dalil, and they said that Omar did it. So Omar must have done it based upon a reason, and the companions who agreed with him applied it, so it showed that that's the ruling to be applied since then until after. So the ones who of the second view, what's the second view?
3 counts as 3.
No, the second view.
It's 3 counts as 1.
3 count as 1. They said no, we use the first portion of the hadith. The Prophet Islam, what he had in place, Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, and also a few years in the Khilafah, the reign of Omar. And that Omar did out of ijtihad, based upon how he saw the condition of the people. So that's the evidence that is generally used. So of those, like another book that he discussed concerning Sahih Fiqh Sunnah, that Allahu Alam, that his view was that he takes is that so in this matter, it goes back to the person given that ruling as to the talib who have studied that matter, or the alim, as to his conclusion. So if you ask that person, you go to that person to judge in your matter, whatever answer he gives, then you live by it, because he comes the judge. So of those, and of the art of Sahih Fiqh Sunnah, he mentioned that his view is that the original ruling is that 3 equals 1. That's original, and that to be applied. And his response or answer to Umar's case, that he changed it, that judge, he also can take this ruling if he said that person, that in that case, that there's reason for him to rule as such, that you're 3, I count it as 3, because you have a track record of being hasty and always divorcing. So my rule is, original ruling is 3 equal 1, but in certain cases he may take the ruling of Omar based upon the circumstance. You understand? So the person, for example, the person that Qadi is normal ruling is 3 equal 1, but in certain cases the same person might rule 3 equals 3, and that's valid from him. And he ruled 3 equals 3 based upon the circumstance, and that is the merit of that case, as they say, the merit of that case. So that's concerning that first one. There was the case regarding concern that, so the same thing applies to the person saying anti-taliq, anti-taliq, anti-taliq. So that's now the next case. So the Sheikh has said that Sheikh Khaslan, he separate between both. Sheikh Abdullah Fawzan Hafidullah, he sees, as Ibn Taymiyyah, doesn't see a difference between those two ways of saying talaq. Now, where it will go back to the same thing again. So, double Jumhur. Even something that he mentioned, Sheikh Khaslan, he mentioned regarding that something just maybe to be double checked regarding that reference to the matter to the ulama, the Shafi'iyya. Now, that just to be double checked. Then where some, for example, they said a difference between anti-talik thalathan, what the person says anti-talik, those who separate said, okay, if a person said Assalamu alaikum thalathan, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah thalathan, I give salam to you 3 times. What do you understand from that?
Sounds like bidah.
It's one salam.
Is that okay? Hey, that's the next one. So I said, would you count that as 3 separate salam or just 1 salam?
It's one salam.
Huh?
It's one salam.
Okay. Then he mentioned a person who said no. Then those said no. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. Do you count that as 3 separate salam or 1 salam?
To be honest with you, to me it's just you salamming me once because you're saying the same thing 3 times.
Hey, so a person says bab ta'kid. Some see that saying Assalamu alaikum, Assalamu alaikum, Assalamu alaikum. Bab ta'kid, that's like emphasis. You're just repeating something. So it's still one. The other ones are just kind of somewhat to reinforce it. You understand? So said that. So same to with the divorce. So if we put at the same context of divorce, the husband saying to his wife, anti-talik, anti-talik, anti-talik. Do the person understand that to mean you mean all 3 separate, or the other ones is just to reinforce?
I believe it's just a reinforcement.
You understand? So that goes back to the discussion regarding those who separate. So, but that's not the intention. That's linguistically as to how it is used. Not per se. The intention is more how the language is being used.
But why would someone want to? Isn't there a benefit in having the 3 periods for you to maybe reconcile or put things in place for separation? Rather just to say, I divorce you 3 times, and then after that, you saying those 3 divorces, you have to go and get everything out the house and split and explain things to the kids. It just seems a bit erratic.
Hey, so you might find cases like those, you understand, that sometimes the husband maybe, him and the wife going through like a tension. You understand? And think a bit heated, so he wants kind of somewhat, so he said it sometimes, he said it not really wanting, meaning it, but it just happened because of the tension. Or he just see it as, I'm going to say it that way so we can separate immediately and I go my own ways. You understand?
I feel like if that is permissible, then maybe there's a lot of marriages out here that are not really marriages, because that's something that could just happen in the heat of the moment.
So in those cases, go back to it, you understand? So the thing of learning the ahkam, I've learned the ahkam to the person, know to apply things correctly, because sometimes a person might do things wrongfully, but then certain ruling still applies to it. You understand? There's a case of a person that, like in Siyam, the person know that he should fast, and he should not have intercourse, but overeat, gets a bit, it was hot day, his wife was not, you understand, and he went and, was with his wife. And she said, no, I didn't know. And he said, no, yeah, but it still counts, because you have gone through the act already. So something a person may be ignorant, he may have awareness that what I'm doing is wrong, but doesn't understand the full consequence. But maybe what I'm doing is questionable, but he doesn't understand the full consequence, then that's a problem. That's when you find the problem occur, the person doing certain things, knowing that he's wrong somewhat, but not taking into account the full consequence. So you find himself that when it is explained, I didn't know that, but it's already happened. Then that's the thing now with the consequence, after it may override. You with me? So he said, no, of studying of the fiqh of muamalat is knowing how to go about doing things correctly. So the next case that he gave regarding talaq, then he gave other case that would be the person who said that if you've had a next case that a person in talaq that was said mufarraka or mutasil, the person would say, okay, he divorced his wife, so he gives, so according to what the Shaykh said, a person divorced his wife last month. Which month is last month?
Yeah, August.
August, say we're in September. So a person divorced his wife early August. And she went, and by the end of that month of August, she saw her cycle and end beginning of September. So today is what? The 3rd of September. Say today is the 3rd of September. Today is the 3rd?
2nd.
Oh, today is the 2nd of September. So she ended her cycle Saturday, the last day of August. So the night she washed, Sunday, the 1st of September, she's praying, you see her pray. Then today, then Monday morning, the 2nd of September, he decided to give her the second talaq. But he hasn't taken her back yet. Clear? So he gave her the second talaq. So his thing is at the end of every cycle, I'm giving you a talaq until I just finish all three.
But isn't that the correct way to do it? If you've never given a wife a talaq, and then you decide, look, this is not working, I'm therefore not doing anything with her for the rest of my life. So you give the first one, month later, second, month later, third, that's 3 months gone.
Hey, so I said, this now fall into, so I said, that now also fall into 3 talaqs before the end of the iddah. Remember the last one we mentioned? Now, so 1 talaq per iddah. So either you take her back, so it will be the case would be, so the ideal way, so the scenario that we gave, that September she's clean, and he gave her a second talaq, but he has not yet what? Taken her back. Then does that talaq count as a new separate talaq, or it is an addition, it still goes back to the first? With me? So you have also that become a part of the discussion between the ulama, who some see that second one is just a repetition of the first, but it counts as a part of the first and not a new talaq, because he has not yet taken her back.
So so for instance, if that person wanted to give 3 consecutive talaqs, he would have to take her back.
Hey, take her back, then break that cycle. When you break that cycle, then do it again.
Is taking them back, is that what's the word?
Does it involve intimacy?
Yeah.
No, you can do it verbally, or you can just do it verbally.
Oh, so you're gonna
You can just say to her, I take you back.
Okay.
And then after and next day said, I divorce you. For example. You understand? We'll just say another example.
Yeah.
So a person might said, I take you back. And as soon as he take her back, he said, I divorce you. Now turn around and said, I divorce you again. Then but that starts a new cycle of divorce. So that one, by him taking her back, it would have come to an end. So that one counts as its own independent, separate divorce as one against him. Then this second one, they said, I take you back, anti-tariq. And he said, I divorce you again. Then that counts as a second divorce, but she has started a new iddah.
So you see in this situation here, for instance, if there was someone that it was irrevocable,
3 have gone.
It's just a situation that can't be amended.
Between the husband and wife.
Yeah, but there's been no divorce, no talaq's been said. Is the easier exit khula?
It could be a way. The khula is of the option.
Yeah.
It could be an option.
Just to
end things quick.
Just stop the confusion of I take you back now.
So it could be, because khula could be agreed upon by both.
Yeah.
So it could be if both of them said, okay, let's end it. We want to do a quick, fast track things, rather than go to the long thing of, you understand, for months. We're going to be if we're going to use the talaq system, we're going for months. So fast track, just using fast track things. Okay, let's agree upon a khula and just go to the rule. We agree and we'll just do it and just end it in that fashion. Then that's it. I'm not going to get to...
Because I missed some.
Oh, okay.
So when he takes her back, the condition is he shouldn't touch her before he gives her the second one. If he wants to end it quick, like maybe his target is to do 3 talaq.
Now that, okay, regarding concerning al-raj'i, regarding taking her back, that will be the chapter. It will come as a separate chapter very soon. So that will be covered more in details then. We just mentioned this case just as an example. You understand? But the main thing is regarding talaq being done not with forfeiting some of his rules, right? So if talaq is done by forfeiting its criteria, that's the main raj'i will be discussed soon in the next maybe 2 chapters separately, right? So regarding concerning at-talaq, so we're on the point regarding just say the verbal ones. We have done that. We have discussed those ones, right? In brief, right? Then the Shaykh mentioned regarding concerning the normal way that we have just maybe a good example. If he wants to go through all 3 by way of talaq, then it means that I say I divorce you. Then as soon when she then take her back, then divorce her again. Let's go through that cycle 3 times. But it means it's going through that cycle for 3 times. So the next of as he mentioned that, again, concerning the statement that he mentioned, there's something was mentioned here. He mentioned a second way of the talaq verbally. Right? Then he mentioned that, for example, husband said, anti-talik, anti-talik, anti-talik. Or he said, anti-talik, thumma anti-talik, thumma anti-talik. So he used the word 3 times. It's spread out 3 times. Or repeated, the word talaq is repeated 3 times in one sentence. Or it's a majlis al-wahid. So these are the cases you find that occurs a lot. Husband and wife, especially said, the husband can sound to I divorce you, I divorce you, I divorce you. I divorce you, I divorce you, I divorce you. 3 times it is said. So what's the rule regarding that case? So they mentioned that saying it 3 times, they mentioned that to say it in that fashion, it is haram. Between most of the ulama. But some of the ulama, it is something which is mubah. Because they see that if you say it 3 times, the one who say if you say it 3 times, it counts as 3 separate ones. They see it as what you have done is mubah, but you are now completely divorced. That's the consequence. But the ones who say but most of the others said no, it's haram for you to repeat it 3 times or 2 times. Just you should say it once for it to be the sunnah way. So we said that those who say, so the matter now is the person saying to his wife, anti-talik, thumma anti-talik, thumma anti-talik. Or he said, anti-talik, wa anti-talik, wa anti-talik. What's the rule regarding that? Doing it in that fashion. They mentioned regarding concerning that Jumhur of the ulama owes it to be, again, 3 separate divorces, as we mentioned before. Right? So that's 3 separate divorces. But again, said Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah, that of the view, and Ibn Qayyim rahimahullah, that they owe this to be 1. And others. They owe this still again to be 1. Right? And you even find they mentioned, Shaykh, he mentioned that, so on this matter, he mentioned, لكن قال شيخنا, or قال شيخنا, Abdul Aziz bin Baz rahimahullah. So Ibn Taymiyyah khalif jumhur of the ulama, so Ibn Taymiyyah, Ibn Qayyim are of the minority. Just with the way they have the minority, who says that these 3 in this wording, it counts still as what? 1. So if for them any amount of time that you repeat it, it counts as 1. Right? Where you say anti talik bithalatha, or anti talik, that's still for them equal 1. Right? So they mentioned, Shaykh bin Baz mentioned, the second case mentioned, أما اختيار ابن شيخ الإسلام ابن تيمية رحمه الله لعدم الوقوع الطلاق على رجع إلا بعد العقد أو رجعة فقول ضعيف مخالف لأدلة شرعية لا عالم له سندا ولا سلفا. You know what he's saying? That Shaykh bin Baz rahimahullah is refuting Ibn Taymiyyah. That his position regarding saying that, taking that the 3 constitute what? 1, and the second we're saying the anti-talik, wa anti-talik. He said that there's no one that precede you in that position from the ulama before. No one has preceded you before that qawl until you. So he mentioned that. So it shows that the contention on that matter, a more heated discussion on that matter. So overall, that the matter, as we mentioned, that the asl is what? 1, 3 equals 1. But in the case that even that same qadi, that same person, look at the matter, if he rule based upon the merit of that case, that 3 equals 3, then he is following concern the ijtihad of Umar al-Khattab and may can do so. And that will still considered to be valid. So in cases, both may be deemed as valid.
What about the ones where they do 3 consecutive cycles? That still counts as 1.
Hey, so the same thing may apply. Yeah, so the same ruling will apply to the same thing. So every month, he give her a talaq even though she's still in her iddah and he hasn't taken her back. Or every 2 weeks, week 1, I give her a talaq and didn't take her back. Then week 3, I give her another one, and then week 5, I give her another one. Then all goes back to the same thing. Do those 3 constitute 3 separate, or constitute those 3 as being 1? So go back to the same matter in nutshell. Enter. We finish with that one. The next one, hopefully we can discuss the other one. The other concerning fil hayd. He mentioned regarding divorcing the wife while she's in her menstrual cycle. So they mentioned menstrual cycle, we discussed divorcing. So said to divorce the woman while she's pregnant, then you can do so at any time. In pregnancy, she can be divorced at any time. Early, middle, or late. So divorce in pregnancy, it counts. And there's no khilaf on that matter. There's no difference. So the case now with the discussion is divorcing her while she's on her cycle, or menstrual cycle. So they mentioned regarding this particular matter that Shaykh Haslan, Hafidullah, he mentioned regarding this matter that there's a khilaf between the ulama and they fall into 2 madha'ib. They fall into 2 opinions. The first opinion, أن طلاق العاهد يقع هو قول أكثر أهل العلم. That talaq, if it is given while the wife is in a menstrual cycle, it counts as a valid divorce. And that's the position taken by majority of the ulama, including A'immat al-Arba. Contrary to the view, so say that a woman who is divorced while the husband, whether he is aware or not aware, so the fact that she's on her cycle and he has divorced her, does that count as a valid divorce or not? Qawl said Jumhur of the ulama, including Abu Hanifa, Malik, Shafi, Ahmad ibn Hanbal, and Jumhur of the ulama, it counts as a what? As a valid divorce. But he is wrong, he is athim, he is sinful in doing so at that time. So he, the husband, that time that he did it, he is sinful, wrong, but it still counts as a valid divorce. That's called Jumhur of the ulama. So I said that, back to the story, I said over the weekend someone asked, they asked, a relative of them asked me while they were in the country, and That does it count? Divorce in when menstrual said it counts, and that's the position taken by Jumhur of the ulama. And the person, I have the question above repeatedly. They asked me the question now. She's on a menstrual cycle. And I said, yes, it counts. But she's, on her cycle. I know what you said. It counts. And she asked again. I'm saying that she's on her menstrual cycle and her husband divorced her. It counts. And I said, that's the call taken by a majority of the ulama. And she was taken aback. Then because she was asking on behalf of someone, then she relayed the message to the person. The person then contacted me from overseas. While I'm on so the person someone asked the question, da. So I said, yes, I understand. They repeat their same thing, a million times. I'm on my cycle. And said, that they have asked other people, and they said it doesn't count at all. And that's the call of Jumhur of the ulama. Yeah, the other people said that divorce while she's on her menstrual cycle, it does not count. And that's the position taken majority of the ulama, which is the opposite. So she asked me, so I sent her, she said, can you? So she asked me over again, I know my this I get divorced and this I've got divorced. What? And they have been told that it doesn't count. You understand? It's the first time hearing what you are saying. Are you sure what you're saying? You understand? So, okay. I'll send you something, isn't it? So I sent them something. You understand? So I said, we're just saying that as the position taken by Jumhur is that it counts. And that's the call taken by Imam al-Arba. Now, then to the extent they mentioned, Sheikh Khatlani mentioned, أن طلاق العاهد وقع أو يقع وهو قول أكثر أهل العلم. Then he mentioned at the books of different philosophers. So they mentioned Mabsut, which is a book of the books of the Hanafi. Then they mentioned Tamheed, the Maliki, Ibn Abdul Barr, Tuhfat al-Muhtaj, Shafi'i, wal-Mughni, Hanbali. Now, so the four madahib, that's their position in general. They mention Bal Hakahu Ibn Munzir. So Ibn Munzir rahimullah, that is the book called Maratib al-Ijma, or book about Ijma, where he mentioned Ibn Abdul Barr Ijma, and that there's a consensus of the ulama that it counts. According to Ibn Munzir wa Ibn Abdul Barr, that pronouncing divorce on a woman watching a cycle, according to those two, it's the consensus of the agreement of the ulama that it counts.
When you say Jamhur, it includes past and present, right, generally?
Yeah. Especially those of the past. More so of those of the past. So they mention بل قال ابن منذر إنه لم يخالف في هذه المسألة يعني في وقوع الطلاق الحائض. That Ibn Munzir rahimahullah mentioned that no one have gone against or say opposite regarding that that divorce counts while the woman is on her idol إلا أهل البدع والضلال. Only people of bid'ah والضلال say opposite. According to Ibn Munzir. وكذلك قال النووي, they mentioned that, and also it is reinforced by النووي, but the state قال إنه لم يخالف في زماننا. And now rahimullah mentioned that no one have gone opposite to this in our time. نعم في وقوع الطلاق, in the validity of talaq al-ahid, إلا except الرافضة, except for the Rafida wa Ahl al-Bid'ah wa al-Dalal. So there are hard, and said there are powerful, you see the word, not even, but powerful statements. Now, because the person I was speaking to, they were saying, or heavy statement, that their understanding for all that they have known all the years, that they cannot have, that divorce while the woman in a cycle, it doesn't count, and that's the position taken by Jumhur of the majority of the ulama. Now, from this statement is the opposite. So my thing is that, can I speak to this person? I said, no, go back to that person. Maybe he should go and read upon the matter and then come back to me. Because if they're saying, though you're being told, Jumhur is saying it doesn't count, then maybe that person or whoever you're asking, maybe they need to revisit the matter. But the person, once you can tell that they were shocked, in a state of shock. Because it did happen to them, isn't it? So that's like a killer. So that's called Jumhur. They mentioned ولكن حكاية الإجماع محل النظر. But he mentioned Sheikh Khatlan رحمه الله or حفظ الله, he mentioned ولكن حكاية الإجماع محل النظر. That saying it's an ijma, there's some, it's not as claimed. It's not as claimed, but it's the call of Jumhur, not necessarily all the ulama, not necessarily an agreement between the ulama. They mention فقد خالف من العلماء في ذلك ولكن خلة, that you find that of the ulama, those who have gone against that view, but they are the minority. They are the few. So few have gone. So it's not per se ijma, consensus on the matter, but you have a few of the ulama, a minority who says otherwise. That it doesn't, would be the. Then I mentioned that those who say it counts as a valid divorce. They mentioned the hadith. They mentioned that the case concerned that Omar Al Jamaykee, that he asked the Prophet Islam, and that regarding concern that his son Omar, so Omar, that his son Omar Al Khattab, that his son was Abdullah bin Omar, that he divorced his wife while she was on her menstrual cycle. Then I mentioned that so even the father heard that his son had divorced his wife while she was on her cycle. So the father was Omar, that he went to the Prophet Islam to explain the scenario to see what's happening. Then he explained to the Prophet Islam فقال مره, command him فليراجعها, for him to take her back, ثم ليمسكها, and take her حتى تطهر, until she becomes pure, ثم تحيد, until she then sees her cycle, ثم تطهر, then until she becomes pure, وإن شاء أمسك بعد, if he wishes he keeps her, وإن شاء طلق قبل أن تمس, and if he wishes to release her before she's released. They mention وتلك العدة, this is the عدة التي أمر الله أن تطلق لها النساء, and the طلق النساء, and is the عدة that you should follow in divorcing your wife. And the hadith in the Al-Bukhari wa Muslim. So the hadith, what they extract from the hadith, those who say it counts, with the Prophet said, فَلْيُرَاجِعَهَا, for you to take her back. So you cannot take her back unless you have what? Divorce her. You cannot take her back unless it counts as a divorce. So they said, the Prophet Islam said that you should take her back. So it means that the divorce, it counts. But also the procedure now for you to follow, that you should take her back if it is still like your first divorce or your second divorce. Then keep her until she sees her cycle and everything, because you did it the wrong way first. So wait until she sees her cycle, again, common cycle, she become pure, then after then you can decide whether to keep her, divorce her properly now, or keep her. And the hadith mentioned that you should wait like 2 cycles.
That's
Yeah,
the end of the one which you divorced.
Hey, there's a khilaf we discussed. You understand? Those who mentioned that the 2 is concerned with not bin bab ihtiyat. It's better, but it's only 1 really. As the Shaykh will discuss. You understand? But the general thing is, the shahid from the hadith is that he mentioned that فَيُرَاجِعَهَا, that for you to take her back. So to take her back, it means that the divorce, it counts.
Okay, so when Sheikh Fawzan puts it in the chapter of the divorce bid'ah, and he mentions that divorcing your wife while she's on a menstrual.
What am that on? Okay.
Divorcing your wife while she's on her menses, this comes under the bar of divorce which are bid'ah.
Hey.
However, divorce counts, but it's wrong.
Yeah, it counts, but it is wrong.
Okay.
So said the bid'i ones, so the general thing concerning the bid'i one, so also we discuss that the bid'i one are these ones where things are done wrong, but do they count? Do they count? So said I will try now to pick out each of them separately, or dissect, or look at each of the separate masala. So we have the person saying, or said the first one, he says divorce many times. You understand? The person says, divorcing his wife all the time. You understand? Then at some point, your person goes, I divorced my wife 16 times. 16 times? Then you don't need to leave each other. You understand? So we said now, so doing it repeated a lot in one go. Then yeah, so said we discussed that case. Then we have the scenario. The next case is the case of the person what divorcing her, but she's in her cycle, whether he knew or not knew. That's not whether he knew or not. That doesn't change anything. So the fact that it's been confirmed that she's in her cycle, does it count? Clear? So that's the first opinion. And of the hadith of Ibn Umar, of some narration mentioned, Husibat alayya bitatliqa. In some narration mentioned, it is some narration also of the hadith that is in Sahih Bukhari. It mentions an additional word mentioned, Husibat alayya bitatliqa. That it was counted against me as a divorce. It was counted against me as a divorce. So I can also prove that the view of those who say it counts. أيوة تفضل شيخ when it's time.
Yes, no joke. اللهم هذه الدعوة التامة الصلاة القائمة آتي محمد الوسيلة والفضيلة وغفر خيرته وآتنا
طيب just so that's Bismillah, Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalam Rasulillah. So that's kind of somewhat to end with that masala. So we discussed concerning that. So the masala we're discussing is pronouncing divorce while the wife is on her cycle, right? So the first, there's a khilaf between the ulama. The first position that it counts as a divorce. Now, I will mention those who take this position, their adillah. Then the second position of the ulama on this matter. So said that with that also, with the hadith we mentioned, that the riwayat ibn Umar, that mentioned that, في رواية in the Sahih Bukhari, Sa'id ibn Jubair, and Ibn Umar قال, حسبت علي بتطليقة. That it was counted against me as a divorce. And that's him saying this, Ibn Umar himself, that it was recorded as a divorce against me. So it shows that, so that's the evidence used by those who say it what? It counts. Now, so the person I didn't know, so the husband say I didn't know or not know, you understand, that's irrelevant. You understand, the person may not, but that's irrelevant information. The fact is that, was she on her cycle? Yes, then that's the main thing. And so the next position taken by the ulama, أن الطلاق الآهد لا يقع. The second position of the ulama is that pronouncing the talaq while she's in her cycle, it does not count. Then I mentioned رؤيا هذا and إكرمة. So of those who take this position, إكرمة, طاووس, محمد بن إسحاق, وبه قال ابن حزم, also ابن حزم الظاهري, والرواية عن إمام أحمد, واختياره أبو عباس ابن تيمية وابن قيم والسماء الشيخ عبد العزيز بن باز رحمه الله جميعا. So of the ulama who take this second position, as we mentioned, Ikramah, that talaq during the woman's cycle does not count. Of those, Ikramah, Taus, Muhammad ibn Ishaq, Ibn Hazm al-Zahiri, of Imam al-Arba, Riwayat and Ahmad ibn Hanbal, and also the position taken by Ibn Taymiyyah, also Ibn Qayyim, and also of contemporary Sheikh bin Baz, alayhim rahmatullah jami'an. So those are those who take this position. As for the evidence that they use to come to their conclusion, that they mention also the same hadith. They mention the same hadith. Of the case concerning Ibn Umar regarding him divorcing his wife during her cycle. Then I mentioned regarding Ibn Umar regarding concern of Inna Ibn Umar talaq imratuhu ala ahli Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam faqala ya Rasulullah inna Abdullah talaq imrati wa ya aidan faqala bi Islam. So in this another narration of the hadith mentioned فَلْيَرَاجِعَهَا, for him to take her back. So the Prophet Islam, when he heard that Ibn Umar divorced his wife while she was in her cycle, then he should take her back. فَرَدَّدَهَا وَلَمْ يَرَدْ شَيْءٍ. Then I mentioned فَلَمْ يردها ولم يراها شيء. Then I mentioned فلم يراها شيء. Then I mentioned that certain wording that he mentioned that to take her back and did not see it as anything. فلم يراها شيء, and didn't see it as anything, meaning it didn't count.
So they understand the opposite of the hadith.
So this is additional wording in the hadith. They mentioned فقال إذا طهرت فليطلق أو يمت. They mentioned if she becomes pure, then divorce her or keep her. But there's additional wording that becomes the wording out that is on the discussion between the ulama of hadith. When they mention فردها, then you should take her back. وَلَمْ يَرَاهَا شَيْءٍ, and he did not see it as anything. That wording did not see it, I mean it does not count. That wording, one, they mentioned that Ibn Rajab rahimahullah mentioned وَلَمْ يَرَاهَا شَيْءٍ مِمَّا تَفْرَ بِهِ Ibn Zubair and Hasab Ibn Umar وَكُلُّهُمْ مثل. That they mentioned that wording, they said one that is criticized, that wording according to ulama of hadith. So ulama of hadith, sometimes that they may criticize something because someone saying something that no one else said. Infirad or nakara. So for them they see it as something which is words that are being added that is not a part of the original hadith. With me? So that wording now, they discussed that now, that part is not, when all the wording of the hadith, this word is not mentioned. And only one single person saying it. So they dismiss it. So it is considered to be, yes, it is mentioned in some single narration, but is not actually a part of the hadith. It is considered to be weak. Of those who try to use, so the ones who say it counts, they try to say it's strength. They kind of give it strength. But in reality, it's not a part of the hadith. So that's concerning that discussion. So they mentioned that A'immat al-Hadith concerns Ankar consider Ibn Zubair, that Ibn Zubair adding this word, they have kind of criticized him for adding this wording. Clear? So that's so they mentioned that, and also he has gone against everyone else by adding that single word. Clear? That's a bit technical, so I didn't want to go into technicality, but it's a matter of hadith where. So based upon this, and also after evidence they use, it is more sariyah. They said, no, the hadith probably already mentioned, man amila amalan laysa li amruna fahuwa rad. The one who doesn't act, that is not from us, is rejected. So they use hadith which is general. So the specific or the straightforward hadith said the direct hadith, it is weak. And the more general hadith is too general. It's too general. So their evidence is, Allahu alam, daif. Aywa. Wa billahi ta'ala tawfiq wa hadhihi as-sabil. So we'll summarize everything.